If you have ever been manipulated or controlled in your relationship, there are 3 places in your energy that made it easier for someone to take advantage of you. These are not your weaknesses. They are simply risk zones in your human design chart, and once you understand them, manipulation loses its power. Today I will show you exactly what they are. I'm Ilse. I help kind-hearted spiritual women rebuild self-trust after controlling relationship. Even if it's first time hearing about human design, I will keep it very simple for you. But it would be more interesting if you could have your human design chart in front of you. I have added a link in the description box below where you can create your human design chart for free. You can pause the video and make your chart now if you wish. In human design, we have energy centers. Some centers are defined, which means you have an energy there. Other centers are undefined, which are white in your human design chart. And they are places where you absorb, amplify energy from others. And when you absorb the wrong energy from the wrong person, you become easily to manipulate or control. The 3 risk zones for manipulation are, firstly, spleen center, your sense of safety. Second is your root center, center of pressure and stress. And the third center is emotional center. As you understand, it is about emotions. Let's go through them one by one. The spleen center. And here you can make a mistake by holding on to what is not good for you anymore. The spleen center is about intuition, about fear, about security and safety. It is about instincts. If your spleen center is open, undefined, it's white in your human design chart, the core question becomes, am I holding on to what isn't good for me? If you have this center undefined, you might become the person who stays too long, who feels safe with someone even this person is unsafe for them. Why? Because undefined spleen center people feel the safety from other people in their body. If someone has defined spleen center, you might feel calmer, protected, grounded in their presence, even if that the same person is the person who is controlling you or manipulating you. I have also undefined spleen center, and I have experienced this attraction to people who are not safe to me. And actually, surprisingly, after I left that relationship, couple of months later, I ended up with the same situation where I was attracted to the person who is not healthy for me. This person has a defined spleen center. And this is why people get so attracted to this defined spleen, because this is the feeling of safety. I feel safe there, but actually I'm not safe or like protected. This is just an image or an idea of safety. So the wisdom for us undefined spleen center people is to learn to create safety within, not from another person. Safety that comes from trusting your own truth and trusting the divine, instead of looking for others for you to feel safe. When self-trust and trust to the divine starts to wake up in you, it becomes much harder to manipulate with you. Let's move on to the second risk zone, the root center. The root center is a center of pressure, stress, and urgency. When it's undefined or white in your chart, your biggest question becomes, Am I rushing through life just to get rid of the pressure? A controlling partner uses undefined center with texts like, "Why are you so slow? Do it now. If you cared, you would hurry. I need this from you right now." You absorb their stress and start overperforming, overgiving, and overfixing just to get rid of that pressure that actually is not your pressure. This is how you can lose yourself, because you start to think, if I would just do everything perfectly and quickly, they would not explode or they won't get angry. But that's not your energy. You are just like amplifying their stress. Actually, I am experiencing this with my partner right now. I have a defined route and he doesn't. So before I ask him to do anything, I literally ask him, "Am I pressuring you right now? Are you actually willing to do this?" This is how I avoid being manipulative or controlling. Because if he isn't in this peaceful state, he would actually do anything just to get rid of that pressure. So the wisdom of this undefined root center is to understand which pressure is really yours and which is the stress from another person. This alone can change your entire relationship with time, with pressure, with stress, and with all that urgency. Because also you have to come back to your truth, to your self-trust, and feel if this stress or pressure is really mine. So the third risk zone of being manipulated is hidden in the emotional center. And this false self is avoiding conflict at any cost. Emotional center is where emotional waves rise and fall. If this center is undefined, your biggest pattern is, "I will avoid confrontation to keep the peace." That is because you feel other person's emotions more intensely than actually they do. Not because you don't have boundaries or you are weak, just that you are an amplifier. And you start to try to, like, you don't want this explosion to happen, and you start to apologize even when you are not wrong. Stay quiet to avoid, like, explosions. And you kind of start to manage the other person's emotional storms and try to fix something there. And you start to feel guilty about the things that actually are not your responsibility. Controllers love people with undefined emotional center, because if you are living out of alignment, not connected to your divine essence, not aligned with your truth, you will always try to avoid the conflict just to keep the peace. In my relationships right now, I have a defined emotional center and my partner has it open, which means he amplifies my deep emotions. The way I kind of try to avoid being controlling, I communicate clearly. So he knows that my emotional response or an expression and reaction is not about him personally. And maybe it's even not related to the issue or problem he's trying to solve. I communicate that I might respond with emotional wave, because when I'm in my low, like when my emotional wave is low, I can be like, I can see everything too dark, darker than it truly is. That's why I try not to overwhelm him with my emotions when he shares his truth, even if I'm feeling low. So the wisdom for you as an undefined emotional center would be, stay neutral and grounded in the face of someone else's emotional house and not being afraid of confrontation. Because if you need to share your message in that moment, and even if that other person is feeling low, the message still needs to be shared. Because sometimes waiting until later may be too late, and that low moment might even become even more lower, and the message needs to be communicated anyway. So speak your truth and take a deep breath and feel grounded when you communicate with people who are emotional. To sum up, these three undefined centers create a pattern. Undefined spleen center, I feel safe even if you hurt me. Undefined root center, I will rush and perform just to release the pressure. Undefined emotional center, I will avoid conflict so you don't explode. And this pattern only activates if you are not living in alignment with your truth. Because if you are living in alignment, these centers actually becomes your wisdom. Because like an antenna, you receive and amplify all these information that you receive, and you can become super wise about this. Once you learn to inhabit this wisdom, you become unmanipulatable. To explore more about these centers and other places of potential manipulation in a human design chart, I invite you to my live free workshop, The Energetic Match for Manipulation. To sign up, just to follow the link in the description box below. And if you are watching this after the live event, the recording will be available. So you can sign up anytime and receive it for free. This workshop can really help you to where your energy has been unprotected and how to take that power back. And if you have some question, just comment down below and I will reply to every comment. Looking forward to share with you the workshop Energetic Match for Manipulation. Sign up in the description box below. Thank you.